So when it comes to your cranial nerves, I want to remember 5, 7, 9, 10 and 12. So if I knock this corticobulbar tract, because it is heavily myelinated and therefore MS is going to knock it out, right? Now what this actually supplies, predominantly what you need to know about, it supplies 5, okay? It predominantly supplies 7 and it also supplies your 9, 10 and your 12. Okay? Now when you think about 5, let's start with that. What does 5 control? Muscles of mastication, right? Your muscles of mastication in your face is supplied by your 5th cranial nerve, right? So your mastication is going to be affected. Okay? Now typically what controls, you have a jaw reflex, right? Your jaw reflex. The jaw reflex is controlled by cranial nerve 5. So if you have an upper motor neuron of your cranial nerve 5, what would happen to your jaw reflex? It would go up. So you will have an elevated jaw reflex because of 5 and you will have problem with mastication. Next, you got 7. What does 7 do? Facial. Your facial muscles are going to get affected. What about 9 and 10? They are predominantly involved in swallowing. Now, do you do a reflex in your throat in your patients? Especially when they're intubated, you're like, hey, you know, whenever you try to intubate them, what happens? They have a gag reflex, which is controlled by 9 and 10. But if you have a supranuclear, which is bringing upper motor neuron, you're cutting that off, what would happen to your gag reflex? Your gag reflex would go up. You'll have an increased gag reflex. Then finally you got 12. What does 12 do? Which is your hypoglossal nerve, which is supplying your muscles of your tongue. So your tongue muscles are going to get affected. Can you talk if your tongue's not moving? No, you cannot talk, right? So you can have something like called a scanning speech. So your tongue is going to get affected and you're going to have a scanning speech. So when it comes to your cranial nerves, I want to remember 5, 7, 9, 10 and 12. But supranuclear, your muscles of mastication gone, facial expression gone, jaw reflex high, gag reflex high, and your talking is going to get messed up and your speech is going to get affected.